In this video, I'm going to be testing Firecrawl.dev, which is a website or a tool that promises you to be able to turn websites into large language model ready data. And what is interesting about this is that it can do a few different functions, such as crawl, scrape, and clean data. There's no sitemap required, which could be an additional feature to consider. And all the data seems to be very easy to kind of understand yourself, and also when you pass it to large language models. This might be easier to make sense of than having a bunch of HTML that you just pass on to the large language model. So if we look at the beta features here, there's large language model extract as well, and smart crawl. So large language model extract playground. So there's the URL, and it gives you the type, object, and there are different items within that. You can also apparently change the types of values that you extract, which looks pretty good. In terms of the smarter crawl, you can also turn any website into an API with AI, join the waitlist for beta access. So this is still a feature that hasn't been released, I guess. In terms of pricing, there's a free plan, which is at this point 500 credits for free, like a one-time thing where you can scrape 500 pages at 10 scrapes per minute and 1 crawl per minute. After that, it goes to annual or monthly payments, so $19 per month or $16 per month when billed annually, and so on and so forth, $83 and $33 per month. When it comes to the API credits, there's a nice breakdown here of how these are distributed. So you can scrape, crawl, map, search, and even scrape plus LLM extracts. So looks pretty interesting. So I'm just gonna sign up and see the results that I get. So let me just sign up here. And once you sign up, you get to the screen right here. There's the API key, which I'll use in a second. And there's an overview, playground, activity logs, usage, API keys, and settings. You can also integrate with different tools. So Zapier stands out here in terms of AI and automation. So there are a few different tools you can integrate with right away. Let's go to the playground and let's scrape a URL, which can be, so we can scrape a single URL, we can crawl it, and we can map it. So map is an attempt to output all the website's URL in a few seconds. So I guess it's like creating a sitemap for the URL in question. For mapping options, can use the search feature to find URLs relevant to your query. For example, entering blog will retrieve all URLs related to blog. Okay, pretty cool. You can include subdomains, you can ignore the sitemap. For single URL, the options are exclude tags, wait, and include only tags. And there's also a few other options when you choose the crawl option. So let's find a site and start a single URL scrape. So here, I went to Google and I typed in marketing agency and Malta, which is where I'm at. And I'll just find a website. Let's see if it makes sense to scrape this site. Your business is thriving, but it has much more potential. Okay, so it's about them. So if I was doing some cold email outreach, this might be a pretty good site to potentially scrape and then create a personalized first line for the site. So let's just try that out. So let me go back to this, scrape a single URL, put in the site, and hit run. Okay. So I got the markdown response and I got the JSON response as well. If I copy the markdown response and I go to a tool like markdown to HTML, technically I think I should be able to get this in this format, which is pretty good. So if I wanted to create a Google document, I could just copy this raw HTML, and then paste it in here and get kind of I could model what the site is about, because at the end of the day, a Google Doc page takes HTML. So this would kind of be a quick and dirty way to strip the additional HTML that wouldn't be needed and get a Google Doc of the website. So that could be one potential use. If I go back to the playground here, there's also the JSON response. So I just open this up here, so it's potentially easier to see. And go to a site like JSON length, paste that in, and here we get the information in JSON format. So there's the markdown, there's the title, there's the description, language, robots, OG title, description. So these are, I believe, stuff for social media. There's OG and HTML. Open graph, snippets of code that control how URLs are displayed when shared on social media. Yep. Modified time, source URL, and status code to 100. Good. So you get a line with the markdown format and then a bunch of data regarding metadata. So this is in terms of the markdown versus JSON response. Now let's try the API. So API status, online, API key, which we've already seen from before. So I'm gonna copy that code. And what I'm looking for is API docs. Quick start, let me search for API. How to use it, API. So here I have the introduction to using the API. So I'm just gonna go in a second to make.com and see if I can use this right here. So there's the base URL, there's the authentication, it's a barrier, type of authentication, response codes, 200 is okay, 400 numbers are something is wrong. Let's look at crawl or scrape. So I have different endpoints as well here for the different things we want to do. Scrape, crawl, get crawl results, cancel crawl, and map. So just for this video, I'm going to look at scrape. So again, information about authorization, the body, which is a URL, string required, the format. Okay. Anyway, let's have a look at this. So URL, format markdown. So format, I think we could available formats, options. So markdown, HTML, raw HTML, link, screenshot. All right, nice. You can also get a screenshot here. Extract screenshot at full page. Sweet. Okay, let's try that. So let's copy this. Gonna open the text editor, paste that in there, and review the information that I will need. So the URL is the URL where we'll make the request. We have different headers here. Then we have the data, which will pass. Extract schema system prompt. Does this extract need? No, I don't think so. So what I'm gonna try is remove, or is extract all this here. Wait for, let's see if this is default 0. Okay, so let's remove that. So all that is required is the format. No, is the body URL, which is this right here. So this will be all the data that we will pass to, like, in the request in the body. So URL, format markdown, only make content true, include tags. Sure, we need that. Tags to include in the output. Okay. Let's try this and see what happens. So let's go to make. personalizing.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the variable, which is my API key. And I'm going to put my API key right there so I can reference it later. Now, we're going to make HTTP request to the address right here. It's going to be a post request. I have these headers. So the header is a bearer. And I'm going to pass the API key that I set in the previous step. And another header, which will be the application JSON. So that will be body type, row, content type is JSON, and I'm going to paste that right there. Also, I'm going to put the URL of the site I want to scrape here, which was this right here. See if that would work. Format markdown, only make content to, okay, let's test this out and see what we get. Run this once. And see if we get some markdown results, which would or should be the same as the Google Doc we created, but let's see. 408, request timeout. What does that mean? Okay. So there isn't any information about 408 here. So let's go back to this, see if there's anything else that could potentially help us solve this. So timeout 1, 2, 3. Let's remove this. I don't know if I actually need this stuff because I'm not passing any values anyway. So let me just remove all that. See if that makes sense. So URL format, only main content is true. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see what. Okay, with a status code to 100. And let's look at data. And I think that actually is what we want. So let's copy that data. And if I go to HTML to Markdown, or rather Markdown to HTML, we have a bunch of stuff. So Markdown. So I guess I need to remove this because the actual Markdown is over there. And what I actually want to do here that I forgot to do is if I go back here, I want to parse the response. So the data is already separated into variables. That makes it easier to make sense out of it. So if I look at data, Markdown, as you can see now I have two variables in response, Markdown and metadata. So if I look at Markdown and I just copy that, now copy, go back here and paste that in, I get the same exact thing that I got through the web interface, just done through an API, which is pretty cool. So then some potential use cases would be, I have a OpenAI messaging assistant. I like that you can get the Markdown format. It makes it much easier to not having to deal with a bunch of HTML tags and other coding stuff that you don't necessarily want when you are dealing with data. So all I wanted to add was create a completion, not messaging assistant. So let's use whatever, put 0, add message system, you create personalized first lines for full email outreach. The output feels very personal based on the input. I want to reach out to a website to offer them my services dealing with whatever, building them a content marketing engine. I want you to take or to use the information found in the below input to help me craft a personalized first line that serves as an introduction or as an icebreaker. Here is what their website is all about. And here I'm going to do is pass the data, and markdown. What I could technically do is say, okay, you can also use the description. Here's what their website is all about, their description. I'm going to pass this description from the metadata. This is what their homepage is all, and then pass on the markdown data right there. So now, delete that. And if I were to just run this module, potentially all I need is the information regarding the description. So I'm going to copy that into my clipboard so I don't run this again, and just copy the markdown information. I can run this module once. The markdown is the stuff I just copied, and the description is the one before. So now ChatGPT will tell me, hi, recipient's name. I couldn't help but notice how Switch emphasizes long-term thinking and sustainability in B2B marketing. I share that passion and believe there is tremendous potential in amplifying your already thriving business with a tailored content marketing engine. Okay, I mean, a bit too long, but obviously the prompt I just created in this moment, so you can always make the prompt better. But that's pretty much, or that's one potential use case for this information. Before I close the video, one thing I would like to test out is that screenshot functionality, which was screenshot where was that? Screenshot at full page, which sounds pretty interesting. Screenshot or screenshot at full page, format to include in the output. So if I take screenshot and so data, this is what is returned, right? This is the format. So here under formats, I guess I could also have multiple formats since this is an array. So if I add screenshot under markdown, that might also potentially work. So let's unlink this. And here, what I'm gonna do is that and put that in quotes and see if that might potentially give me a screenshot as well. And there's also this screenshot at full page, which also sounds interesting. So let's see, we go to data, and I have a screenshot here. So if I open this, I'm expecting the first frame of that site. Okay, didn't quite work. I think it just took the screenshot before the site had actually loaded, as you can see. So if I go back to this, I'm not sure there's a way to wait for specify the label seconds before fetching the content. Yes, that's the one I want. So I'll copy this, see how that is used. So that is used. Okay, it's part of the stuff that I had removed before. So URL format, only main content, true. So I think this is milliseconds. Okay, let's see, this will work. So I go back here, put a comma, wait for. So let's put a 3 second to milliseconds, that 3000, yeah. Let's put a 3 second delay. And like this, I should get a screenshot taken after 2000 seconds, and then the metadata, or the markdown information. Hopefully. Let's check this out. So, data, screenshot, open. Hopefully this will work. Oh yeah. And that got actually the first, what's it called, above the fold screenshot. If I were to replace or add screenshot at full page. Let's also add this. So I think that if I were to do this, I would also get a screenshot of the whole, like a scrolling screenshot of the full page. Or rather is what I'm assuming. So let's see. Let's look at the data here. The data. Okay. Maybe it's one or the other. Let's see. It might be scrolling, yeah. Okay, so it's one or the other. Anyway, pretty good. So we got that. There's some interesting. I don't know if I would use this externally, since there is all this white space. So here, under the video, it just keeps going. Whereas the screenshot, for some reason, there is this white space. But anyway, the functionality is there. So you can definitely use that. I think it's one or the other. So as you can see, once I added screenshot at full page, it kind of overtook the, not overtook, kind of, I only got the full page screenshot rather than the first frame screenshot. But anyway, you can play around with this as well. Anyway, hope you found this video useful when trying this Firecrawl.dev application. Looks like to be a pretty good website when it comes to scraping data. And there's also like the crawling and the extraction and all that, which you can also test out.